All right. Thanks for coming in, folks. We got the burn wrapped up. What I'd like to do is jump into an after-action review for the Horse Creek prescribed burn. And
is an AAR really necessary? I guess I'm a little concerned. Did we do something wrong? I know we got the spot fire and everything, but I guess I just really don't understand the AARs. I'm kind of concerned that we got some sort of trouble or something.
No. The purpose of the after-action review is to focus on the day. Take a look at the day's events and focus on the positives and identify the negatives and capture those things so the next time we conduct a burn similar to this or any burn, any interagency endeavor, that we take knowledge with us and we pass it along. It's not about who, it's about what. Okay, it's not about blame. It's not about he said, she said. We're just here to try to learn from these events and become better at what we do.
A structured debriefing, for lack of a better word? Or?
I try to do them as a burn boss after every burn, after every day on every burn. And even, on wildfires, every chance I get to conduct after-action reviews. Once you get familiar with them, they're great tools.
I mean, I'm hearing a lot more of them. I just have never really had the opportunity to sit through one. And so I had some conceptions coming in, so.
Well, and it would be great if you could take some notes for us.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
And one thing that's really important is that we capture these ideas, because we'll all forget when we drive out of here. But what I'd like to do is capture these ideas, put them in the burn plan in the whole package, so the next person that comes in can take it off the shelf and see the after-action review roll up and the lessons learned. Now, what we don't do is, again, we don't assign blame. So it's not about, I know I'm babbling here, but we'll get it going. It's not about who, it's about what. Okay, so like what would be captured in Pete's notes will be, for example, the drip torches weren't full. Now, if we knew that Lath didn't fill the drip torches, we don't need to put that in the notes. We just identify drip torches need to be filled the night before, and we leave names out of it.
I see.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so it's really not an investigation.
No, it's not an investigation. It's not a review.
Finding to learn a lesson.
It's going to take about 20 minutes, and it'll be good stuff.
We were going well, had a good window, we were going for it, and having a good time down there. And we got to about where that flag is roughly, and the prep was terrible. I don't know who the joker was that was doing the prep in there, but it was really terrible. We still had a window. We kind of continued to push down south.
Okay, so if I understand you right, you feel like the prep was not up to specs.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Okay. Does anyone agree with Chris on the prep?
Going back to the rushing the briefing point, I think another thing that could have been discussed that wasn't really discussed in the briefing was trigger points and contingency planning. I think it all worked out well with the spot, but I think that could have been discussed on what, if certain weather, certain parameters were hit, that trigger point was there, and we could have maybe eliminated that spot. But ending on a positive note, I think everybody's situational awareness was excellent with the spot, and how everybody reacted to the spot, and then we continued on with the rest of the burn. I thought that was excellent.
That's an excellent example of why we do after-action reviews. Scott brought up trigger points. We do it on wildfires. I didn't bring it up in briefing. There's no reason why we couldn't have set up trigger points on the burn. It's a real good capture. I'm glad you spoke up on that one.
Yeah, we asked Travis to come down and give us a hand, and I did the best I could, line him out. We got so much going on with IFPM meetings, FPA meetings, stuff to do, targets to meet, no budget. I think we definitely had to talk. We drove out there to the creek and where the road met the creek, and we talked about it for a little while. Then I kind of left him on his own, and to be honest with you, I probably left it as prep it as you would want to hold it, and I didn't give him a whole lot of direction, but. you know, I would love to. Back in the old days, we sure would have had time, been out there hand in hand with him. But you know, I just got so many meetings to go to these days, and
Well, you
it's
know,
crazy.
and like I said, I think we all know how you feel, Pete, but all those meetings and all those pressures, they weren't out here today. You know, we got to focus on today's events. So, Travis, you're up there. Did you feel the wind shift?
Oh yeah.
Okay, what were you thinking as a holding boss when the wind shifted?
Just got to deal with it.
Okay, any changes in resources or anything, or you were just kind of waiting to see, or?
Yeah, just doing my job.
Did you give any additional directions or assignments to folks, or?
Not until we got that spot fire.
Okay, Travis, back to you on holding. Final say on this. Seems to be a group consensus that the ignition pattern might have been a little quick. Your thoughts?
Yeah, people do things differently. Everybody's got their way of doing things. So,
How would you have lit it if you were ignition?
I probably would have slowed it up a little bit, especially if I knew that there was some prep issues, and you know, at that point, that's the situation you're in. You can't change that now. So what can you control? It's you know, how much fire you're putting on the ground. So you're in the situation. You can complain about it all you want, but you know what you can change is.
Now,
Better.
did you talk to Chris? Did you tell him you thought the ignition was too fast?
No.
Chris, did you mention that you thought the holding was inadequate?
No.
So, what do you guys think? Is there?
I'll agree that, yeah, we probably could have slowed down a little bit. Especially we had it really good at the beginning. Had we known about the prep a little bit, we could have slowed down, got that stuff in place, and we kind of got a little bit ahead of ourselves. I'll agree to that. You know, we should have scouted that out a little bit better as well. And yeah, I agree. We probably could have slowed down a little bit, but we had a good window. But
Okay. So it sounds like, Pete, I hope you're getting this stuff. And on the spot fire lathe, as you responded to the spot, you had mentioned something about knowing the wind would do what it did.
Yeah, it's about that time every day. It shifts, comes right out of the west like that.
Now, did you bring that up? I don't remember hearing
Well,
that.
I told my guys I didn't feel like you guys would listen. You know, to be honest. I mean, a lot of times these things get going, and you know the engine foreman's engine people are just holding, and so I didn't say anything. And maybe I should have, but would you guys have listened?
You bet. I mean, you're one of the best firefighters in this zone. Everybody knows that. You've been here forever.
Well, I just, I didn't feel like you guys were gonna go along. I don't know. It was a rush situation. Maybe I'd have brought it up. And maybe if you could have asked, each of us, so you kind of did your briefing, and then we were lighting. So.
Okay, that's a good point. We definitely could have included you more. Scott, you've been pretty quiet over there.
Yeah, I haven't
thoughts?
said a whole lot today.
Why?
Just quiet in nature. Today, Curtis, I noticed a couple of things. One, I believe that in the morning that there was a rush in the briefing. I don't think it was as thorough as it could have been. Also, with that said, we didn't discuss trigger points and contingency planning, which became a factor today with the spot fire. With all that said, ending on a positive note, I felt that all of us collectively had a good situational awareness. We all attacked the spot fire, and then Chris and Travis could move on with the burn back down into Horse Creek there. So I think overall it was a great day.
All right. Well, those are excellent suggestions. I'm glad you spoke up.
a time.
Well, you know, Junior, I mean, the first part was pretty good. The southern portion was terrible. I mean, that's a big contributing reason why we had the...
I think we've nailed that down, Chris, that the specs were an issue. What I'd like to focus on is why the specs weren't, or why the prep was not up to the specifications. Holding folks, how'd you feel about the test fire?
I think we all got together once the test fire was lit, and we were in agreement that it was meeting the initial objectives.
The test fire was going well. We
Okay,
were
let's.
going.
One of the ground rules I probably didn't bring up is not to interrupt folks. Just let them say what they need to say. We'll give you plenty of time, Chris. Lath, how'd you feel about the ignition?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, everything was going good. We were accomplishing. It looked like it would accomplish the task that we had set ahead. So.
Okay.
Well, the problem was we got down to about where that flag was, and the prep went to minimal or non-existent almost. I don't know who the pinhead that did the prep was, but I mean, it was pitiful. I mean, my
Okay.
kids could do a better job on prep than that.
Well, the person that did the prep was Travis, and pinhead's probably not the right word we need to use here, but Travis, you did do the prep last week, if I remember right. Is that correct?
Yep.
And how'd you feel about it?
You know, I don't believe I gave him a copy of the burn plan. It's probably somewhere in Burning 101, but I think I missed that day.
But you know, the other part of it, who even scouted the line? Nobody even
We'll come
scout
back.
that?
We're working that out, Chris. We'll get there.
Let me finish there, Bub. Back in the old days, we sure would have had time, been out there hand in hand with him, but you know, I just got so many meetings to go to these days, and
Well, you
it's
know,
crazy.
and like I said, I think we all know how you feel, Pete, but all those meetings and all those pressures, they weren't out here today. You know, we got to focus on today's events.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if we could make that go away, but we
Safety
can't.
still needs to be the #1 concern. We had stuff over the hill. That dog wouldn't hunt on our district.
Well, we're not on your district either, Chris, so let's keep focused on today and what we did
Well, we
today.
wouldn't lose it at our district either.
Well, you can have the next burn and we'll come over there. But what I want to close this loop on this the prep standards. Okay, the specifications. What did you get to work with, Travis? What I'd like to focus on is why the specs weren't, or why the prep was not up to the specifications.
Well, I mean, not an excuse, but where the agency I come from, you get around a historic cabin, and you know, there's a lot of issues about.
Take only pictures and leave only footprints.
Now, okay, so who gave you the, where did you get your instructions for the prep? How did you achieve those?
That'd be me.
That was
District
you, Pete?
FMO, I asked Travis
You
to come down and give us a hand.
Okay. Now, Travis, do you feel like Pete's instructions were clear, or did you not understand them?
He, you know, he called me down here to do some prep, and so, yeah, I did it.
And Pete, maybe you could enlighten us.
Yeah. Really what happened, you know, we got so much going on and so much pressure to get this stuff done. I asked to come down and give a hand because some of my other folks were busy doing other things. We're kind of a small district as it is. You know, I had Lath and Scott busy doing other things. So I had him do it, and really I just kind of threw it at him, showed him a map, drove him out to the road at the creek there, and let him have at it, and just kind of, so I'm just as much to blame.
So do you think you could have given Travis a little better briefing, maybe outline the specs? Because I wrote him in the burn plan, but I didn't have a chance to meet with him.
Yeah, without a doubt, should have spent a little more time doing that, you know, especially bringing someone in outside their own turf. Should have been there to help them out a little bit. You know, maybe we can figure something out. I mean, certainly I relied on his expertise to use his judgment, but if he felt he didn't have guidance, then it's something for both of us to take home.
Okay. Travis, does that sound fair?
Yeah, I mean, I could have done, you know, some things on my part, and like I said, you know, the prep on this side, nobody really had any issues with that, but like I said, I got around that, man, back home. If I did what I did back there, right there around that historic cabin, man, I'd never hear the end of it. And then I did want to, you know, get out there with somebody, because you can't put branches back on a tree,
Right.
you know, so that's kind of where I was coming from. But I could have tried to get Pete or you out there to look at it.
Was there anything else other than the prep that triggered that spot fire? Any other reasons why that spot fire happened?
Well, you know, everybody does things differently, so I mean.
If you were running ignition, would you have followed the same pattern Chris did?
Yeah, same pattern. I don't think I would have gone that fast right there.
And that's probably a good point. We had a good window. We were going for it. I probably should have scouted that line out ahead of time on some of that, for sure. I saw that first piece. It looked good, I assumed, and that was a bad deal on my part. Assumed that the rest of it was going to be the same. And so yeah, we
Okay.
probably, at least once we got down into there, we were probably going a little bit too fast, or a few things as far as we had the wind shift. The prep wasn't done. We probably burned a little bit too fast, and nobody had scouted that out. Had you scouted that out?
I had. I'm the burn boss, and I hadn't had time to walk it. So that's something I'm taking home from this. Is, you know, I got to get out there more often. So I'm kind of sliding into the third question here as to why things happen. But I just want to make sure that that we can confirm what actually happened is we saw a little change in fire behavior, and mainly due to a couple reasons. That the prep wasn't up to standard, and the ignition was probably moving a little too fast.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement on that? You
Yeah,
two
I'd agree
guys?
with that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Does anyone disagree with 3 things took place out there? 4 things. Wasn't a good scouting. Wasn't a good briefing for you for the prep. That's 1. 2, the wind shifted. 3, the ignition was a little fast. And 4, the line prep was inadequate for the fuels. That's what I've gathered. Does anyone disagree with that?
That's what
Okay. Okay, what do we do next time? What did we learn from today? And what worked well and what didn't work well?
One thing that worked really well right off the bat was Lath having that local knowledge on where resources were and how to get into those structures, because it would have taken some of the other folks that may not have been from here quite a bit longer to get in.
Okay, that's a good point. Travis, what worked for you? What didn't work?
What didn't work was me on the prep. But you know, I learned some stuff from that. I made an assumption, and on a smaller picture, again using the local knowledge, or even the people that were giving me direction. If I'm not getting it, I need to be a little more forceful in letting folks know that I need some more info. You know, because I'm more than willing to do the work. I just don't want to do it wrong, which I did this time. But
And Curtis, we went take a little bit off of, you know, as far as the what. We could have slowed down a little bit, and I could have checked that out ahead of time as far as the prep. We definitely could have burned a little bit slower and communicated a little better with Travis.
Okay, these are good points.
Yeah, I
Any
haven't
thoughts?
said a whole lot today.
Why?
Just quiet in nature, but I feel that a couple things that I recognized today was the.
I was trying not to.
I know.
And we're rolling and action.
I'm just quiet in.
He did it. Yeah, you
Okay, I'll just go right into something else.
I'm normally a timid, sheepish type of guy. Dude, I do wear women's underwear on.
I could just see Curtis's mouth just start getting wider and wider. Right when I said it, I was like, oh.
Remember, the camera's only focusing on you, so it doesn't see us.
right.
Oh, okay.
This is what
so
you would
I'm the
do.
one that has to have
This is
Barry.
what you would
Find
do.
your happy spot right there. Don't be looking at these.
This is what you.
We're still rolling. Whenever you're ready to do it.
Today I noticed a couple of things that I think we could talk about. One is the overall rush.
Stop!
I was turning the other way.
All of them over
there. I kept my back turned.
We're not gonna get over this.
Okay.
All right.
All of them over there turned around at the same time.
Okay, Scott, so you did awful quiet.
Am I on this?
You're on.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready. We're rolling.
Okay. Today, Curtis, I noticed a couple of things. One, I believe that in the morning that there was a rush in the briefing. I don't think it was as thorough as it could have been. Also, with that said, we didn't discuss trigger points and contingency planning, which became a factor today with the spot fire.